Hello and welcome to C-Suite Middle East. I'm your host, Shane Phillips, and today we're with Geoffrey White, the Chief Executive Officer for Agility Africa. Agility is one of the largest logistics companies in the world with revenues of over $5 billion US dollars, and Africa is one of their key strategic geographies. Today, we're going to be talking about building infrastructure in this area. Geoffrey, welcome to C-Suite Middle East, and thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
You're saying one of the areas you like to look at for driving value in a business is investing in infrastructure.
For small African companies, SMEs, to actually develop, formalize their businesses and start not just dealing in Africa, but opening platforms to export.
Because without you, they would have to build their own warehouse.
A classic example is that one of our first tenants in a new project we've just opened in Ghana was trying to raise $5 million to build his own warehousing facilities in Ghana locally. They were trying to lend him at 29% interest. I suspect he would have gone bankrupt in 2 years. The difference being now he's able to access our infrastructure. He signs a 5-year lease, pays a 3-month deposit, and he's actually up, operating and working. And what's fascinating as a result of him taking that infrastructure and interacting with the global market from a proper premises, he's actually signed 5 new agency agreements for Ghana since he actually did that transaction with us.
Wow, so you're really enabling business on the ground by
Yeah.
contributing this infrastructure. Do you feel there's any risk that your capex outpaces your growth rate? That you're putting in this money, you need to obviously get cash flow back fast enough. Will it happen?
We're very comfortable that the demand's there. The challenge in Africa, probably from a cash flows perspective, is seeing is believing. So nobody wants to sign anything off plan. Nobody wants to pay a deposit until they can actually move in. And that's sort of understandable. Africa's awash with half-built projects that never got finished. So what's been fascinating again in the first units that we've opened is that once people can actually stand in the warehouse, touch the walls, understand what cross-docking is, understand what a warehouse management system is, we're getting great traction. But the commercial challenge on that means you've got to fund the thing 100% get it open and developed before you actually start signing up customers.
Right, I think when you're working in these emerging markets, there's institutional voids. Some of them are tax-free jurisdictions. You can't get the same amount of data you could, for example, if you're opening a facility in the US or in Europe. To a certain degree, does the businessman now have to trust his gut instinct, trust your nose? Is there a bit more of that, or is there still a lot of empirical data to support your decision making at the top as you head into these white spaces?
So there's sort of clear empirical data from our large multinational corporation customers who are aware of what's in the market and what they need and what their growth rates are. But generally, as a rule, to invest in infrastructure in Africa, the void is so large, the gap is so clear that actually you can make an instinctive investment. You understand what caliber of warehousing is available in the market. You understand what we can bring to the market, and it really is going from a Mini to a top-of-the-range Toyota.
Right. So, when you look at these, emerging economies, they're very inefficient. So you can kind of see the opportunities sitting there. In a way, does this make Africa more about tactics and strategies? That you definitely can see the opportunity there. Really, it's about execution, being able to execute on the ground.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the biggest challenge isn't the opportunity. The challenge is, one, staying focused, because the problem in Africa is everything needs done. So when you send your management teams in there, they're forever ringing up saying, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And we say, no, we've gone to do a specific project, stay focused and deliver that project. And then it's all about execution. The challenge is execution and keeping the timelines and the budgets in control so you actually deliver projects on budget and on time.
So I always wonder, that when you look at the West executive, it's a different skill set. There's a much bigger emphasis on innovation, on strategy, and as you move east, it's much more on tactics, execution, getting on the ground. You really have to sit in front of your clients, build those relationships. So it's almost as if is the West not even developing the right skills to be successful as we move into the next decade. And the Eastern businessman, on the other hand, he's tactical by nature. A lot of the old family businesses here, we're traders. So very kind of organic, rustic DNA. And as these two face off, it looks like fundamentally right from the get-go, we're at a loss.
I think the challenge for Western companies and executives is to work in an emerging market. You need to have a huge amount of empathy. So you have to understand your client. So if you're working in Europe and other locations, I mean, it's very numerical. You put a quote in, you get a price back, you want whatever. Doing business specifically in Africa, there's a huge amount of building comfort with your customers and with governments that you're a safe pair of hands to do whatever the project is. So it's really about demonstrating and empathizing what their concerns are, building their confidence so that they feel they can support you.
Great. Well, thank you again for sharing your insights on the African continent, and hopefully we can have you on again soon.
Loved it. Thank you very much.